Hey, it's Ryan Hildreth, and in this video, I interview my client Arturo, who just hit $2,600 on his YouTube automation channel in the first 15 days of February 2023. Now, this is someone who had a little bit of struggle throughout his YouTube automation journey for the first 6 months, in fact, until he made a few little tweaks to his channel and to his strategy that has allowed him to build a profitable channel. And he's on his way to hit about roughly $4,000 this month. And his channel is growing at an exponential rate. I mean, at this rate, he'll be hitting 10K months soon. So let's go ahead and dive into the interview, and I hope you enjoy. But yeah, I just wanted to have Arturo on here to kind of give his experience with YouTube automation, the business model, with our services, Cashflow Channels, and just overall, like, how did you get into YouTube automation? I'm sure the audience wants to hear like kind of your background, where you came from, and now, and just to give insight, Arturo has been with us for a little over 6 months. Struggled at first, but now finally has profitable channel. And that's a huge milestone, huge win. Sometimes it takes longer than others. But yeah, give us kind of the rundown. How did you kind of get into YouTube automation? Was there other business models before, or yeah?
Yeah, man. So a ton of different paths, for me. I'm a lawyer. I guess that's where we could start there. That was one sort of way of making money. I think I also delved into to real estate. I've invested a lot in real estate over the past 2 to 3 years. And have had, I've made efforts to kind of acquire and make a system to acquire real estate on a discount, via short sales and other things.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've had some experience there. I mean, some have been successful, some not. I think when the more active stuff started coming in, like the acquisitions model that I wanted to institute, cleaning businesses from, on my wife's side, we've had sort of more difficulty putting up a good system and putting up a good business. So the more active, basically, the less success we had. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's sort of legal profession is very demanding. Try to find ways to find other sources of income to have maybe more flexibility. And hadn't had much success until basically a month from now, when the channel started picking up.
Nice. And were we the first, I guess, YouTube automation company that you sought after, or like, were there others out there that you kind of work with, or like, how did you get your start? Like, did you see a YouTube video about YouTube automation? I guess, how did you discover the business model altogether?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. It was honestly through your targeted ad on YouTube. So
Okay.
I think the algo recognized, I want a way to make, passive income. I want a way to
Yep.
make different sources of income. And so, yeah, you sort of, I saw one of your ads. It really clicked with me because I had started reading at the time, kind of educating myself on how to make money, how to obtain leverage, which is bottom line what you need to become, wealthy. And I figured, coding and software and stuff like that's where the real leverage is. I'm not a coder. I don't know how to write a line of code. So
Yeah, me neither.
yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube, or just established platforms. So it just made sense when the way you put it. It sounded candid. So I was like, let me give it a try. It sounds totally dumb, like just to make random videos online, but I believe in the model. I believe in the leverage. So let me go for it. So that was my in on YouTube automation.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, that's great, right? Like, I think the real estate thing too is kind of maybe how you saw my targeting, like how you saw my ads, because a lot of our clients too are into real estate as well, because, I mean, I named the program Cashflow Channels because it's very
Mhm.
similar. It's, in a sense, it's digital real estate,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That
100%.
is producing cash flow every month. Obviously, you have your expenses, which are
Right.
very low because, we have teams, offshore contractors that we help you, on board. But so, okay, so you enrolled with us, and then the first channel, you started, was it completely from scratch, or I forgot, did you already have a channel that was kind of like you were working on in the background before you started with us?
Not really, man. Yeah.
Okay.
So first time becoming a creator was through your systems, basically.
Okay, cool. And then that first channel, I guess for the viewers out there who are getting started with YouTube automation, I guess what are some tips you would say, like from the beginning, that maybe you realize, oh, okay, I would have done this differently. Maybe for the viewers to see, like, how what are some top three advice to get started, and what to avoid.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And just sort of came back to the real estate stuff. It's an interesting parallel. And one that we can get into more, but I think, coming back to your question, because I don't want to divert too much from the question at hand. So the question at hand, things I would avoid, things I would do. I think the main thing is to come at it with, guns blazing. Like that's the way you got to come at it, because like anything, it is ultimately, it's a business. As you say, there's liabilities, there's cash flow, or there's, I guess, revenue. Um, there's, in a way, there's clients, viewers, and you want to give viewers what they want. You want to learn what they want. So you got to approach it like that. It is a business,
Mm.
and it has to be, unless you have a lot of, money each month that you can sort of experiment with and maybe automate it from the beginning, then you probably could be a little more hands off. But I would still recommend, like, it is a skill, and I think you got to take it as such. So I think number one is taking it as seriously as a business from right from the get go. And two and three would be just to learn what it takes to succeed. And I think bottom line, to succeed, CTR and average view duration. That's, as Mr. B said in one of the videos I saw when I was sort of researching and trying to get the channel up to snuff. Those are the bottom line. That's what's going to make your channel succeed. Along with a good niche. That's pretty much it. And I think the niche is, the niche I went to, maybe broad niche was way too broad, but it started narrowing down naturally, and was able to find it, 6 months in, but found it nonetheless.
Man, there's a lot to unpack there, but what you just said, I think, are such key things to focus on. And sometimes I don't highlight this enough in my YouTube videos as well. Like, if people are seeing, maybe they haven't even watched the training that we filmed or anything like that. They just saw my YouTube videos. But what you said was giving the viewers what they want. And that's huge, because I think a lot of people get started and they're like, hey, Ryan, I replicated these videos from this successful channel. But they didn't analyze on the back end. Well, is that what the viewers actually wanted?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. 100%.
Because YouTube sometimes will give you subscribers that maybe didn't like that particular piece of content that you uploaded, but liked another. So you have to really
Yeah.
look in the back end, kind of see that. And then for the viewers too, like CTR is click-through rate. So that's out of how, like, let's just say YouTube shows your video to 100 people. How many people actually click on the thumbnail and click on the video?
Exactly.
So what have you noticed is like CTRs? What is kind of like a good CTR to have on your channel to shoot for?
Yeah. I would say anything less than 8 is going to be problematic for me. Anything above 10 would be good. I think those are general paradigms, but there's niches that where maybe it's a little even higher. Like, for example, I'm in my particular sub niche of the stock market news, and when I was still struggling, I was uploading videos about, like, the housing market, about different corporations, or about, like, the stock market crash. And I would see, like, sometimes they got some decent CTRs going, but ultimately the algo wasn't just giving it enough traction. But when I started uploading in this particular sub niche, then stuff really started picking up, and it was like wildfire. It was like night and day. It was like, I had, I don't know, like in 2-3 weeks, I was making 100,000 views a week or more, immediately. Right. And when that started happening, I started seeing kind of like, not only that my views were getting better, but my CTR was getting better. It's getting pushed to more people that liked this kind of content. And ultimately, I'm sort of settling now between like 13 is like a bad CTR for me. And a
Wow.
really good one would be like 21 or something like that. But that's I don't want to have people think that that's kind of what it takes, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of, in some niches it's going to be like ultra competitive. Maybe you need something more like that.
Yeah, those are pretty insane numbers. Like 13 to 21, that's like higher than I would say most of my channels get. Like
Oh wow.
I would say anything above 7, I would say like for me, I'm like, okay, like maybe my standards are too low. I need to raise the standards to where you're at. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
And one thing that is interesting is, when you see that kind of numbers. And my CTR, my average view duration, was also insanely high. Is now at around 4 minutes or so.
Wow.
So pretty good average view duration. And when you start combining those things, I don't know, you start punching above your weight. Like my channel has like 5,000 to 6,000 subscribers, and I was, kicking butt, man. And I was totally out competing my competitors who had been in the space for way longer than me and had double the subscribers. I was consistently getting, 12, 13,000 views, 30,000 views, 70,000 views. Um, and my competitors were getting like, the 5, 6 range. So if you really get the magic formula, like you can truly compete with the big guys.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's yeah, especially if you're hitting the numbers that you are with the both the CTR and the view duration of 4 minutes. That's I usually say 3 minutes kind of standard. Like once you hit 3 minutes, you're pretty good to go.
Mhm.
But this is valuable, especially for people that are new coming in that have no clue, you know, maybe they're just starting their channel, they have no clue what to look out for. So
Oh yeah. Oh
um
yeah. Yeah.
for
And again,
sure.
I don't want to show like this is the one way to do it. Like it depends on the niche, right? It depends on kind of what success you want too,
For
as well.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Would you say that like I from your experience, would you rather go with like a higher CPM niche, something that's going to pay more per thousand views and get less views, or would you go somewhere in the middle, or would you go for a low CPM niche, something that pays $1 to $2 per thousand views, but you have to get like 100,000 to 1 million views on a video? As
Yeah.
far as the sweet spot for you, because you've tried a few different things.
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried many sub niches within stock market news. And I would say in stock market news specifically, I haven't done like entertainment, something like that's really high volume, really high search.
Hmm.
But within stock market news, I definitely tend to favor uh, high CPM because when I was kind of hitting the numbers I was hitting 70,000 views and stuff, like occasionally, not always, but occasionally 70,000 views, and the CPM was low because it was January. Sometimes it happens, it fluctuates, and I
Yeah.
was I was making, I made like 1,500 in January, so I made a little profit. Come February, like I've made $2,600 just in February
Wow.
alone, right? So, and we're what, the 17th, so it's there's still got half the month to go. And that's just by CPM, right? CPM went up like a significant amount because of the month and stuff.
Yeah.
So so I would say I can definitely see the value of high CPM. It's important, and it doesn't take, again, like I don't see how you could compete if you need like 100 or 200,000 views of video with the big guys. But that's just me. I haven't really tried it yet.
Nice. So you're on your way 2,600 for February. I mean, we're only what a little over halfway through the month. So you're on track to do potentially mid 3,500, maybe even 4,000 this month.
Yeah, yeah, that would
Wow.
be amazing. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy. So you came a long ways. I know it's crazy because, a lot of people give up. A lot of people give up after 3 months and they're like,
yeah.
yeah, Ryan's, this is not the method. It's not working, and I urge people to push past that because for me, it was like literally, I tried this for a year, like all of 2018. I was just trying to get one channel
Right.
profitable and I finally did.
Yeah.
That was kind of it for me. And so, for you, I guess, what kept you going past like having the channels that didn't quite work out, or just having the content that didn't work out, it wasn't profitable, you're spending the money's coming out.
Mm.
What kept you going?
Yeah, yeah. So, so a couple of things, keeping it real. Like, I just wanted the audience to know, I am an attorney, right? So, and I am an attorney, I do corporate law. So I did have a good cash flow from my W-2. So I don't want to be, I don't want to be sitting in this kind of different situation than maybe some of the viewers to think, it's going to be nothing to run a channel for 6 months and have no profits, right? It was
Yeah.
even for me, uh, who I'm not making what, some attorneys make, but I'm making decent money in a reasonably priced city. Um, and even for me, I was just like, man, this sucks. I've been going at it for a long time, and I sort of going back to the first question about things to do differently. I started really nonchalantly, like thinking more about like exclusively focusing on my W-2 and thinking I'm just going to be putting in, an hour a week and sort of uploading the videos, and that was going to be it. And actually, I left it to my wife to do that for a long time. But both of us are really busy. So when I started seeing, okay, we had 3 months of liabilities, all losses. What do we need to do to get this up to snuff? I started experimenting myself. I started experimenting with different kinds of videos, researching the videos that we could potentially upload. And again, I sort of hit the jackpot on this niche, the sub niche in stock market news, maybe in October, and we started in June, right? So it took that long to iterate and to just make so many different, kind of iterations of videos until we found kind of one that would hit well with our audience, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think what got me going, what kept me going, in large part is that uh, my profession is really demanding. It's a really demanding profession, and um, I think I want a little more flexibility, and I've gotten more flexibility, as time has gone on with different firms and stuff. But
Yeah.
just the idea of having a second source of income, maybe controlling a little more how much or how little I work in the future, that really was what kept me going, and just knowing, again, just educating myself and learning that leverage is where things are at. That's where you make wealth. That's how you make money. You can think about it in old school terms, and that's fine. You can think about it as a W-2 job and high paying corporate jobs. That's fine. It's stressful. It's going to be a lot of work, but that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. And if you want to invest it in real estate, and like the stock market, all that is great. I've done it myself. It's just that for me, I really wanted to try this sort of new way of making wealth, which I thought was really leverageable and really scalable. So that's kind of what get me going, to be honest.
I like that, man. I like that. Yeah, and it's cool. Like you have a different perspective, too. Different than maybe some of our other clients, like Andrew, who is in a totally different position. Like, wasn't making that much at his 9 to 5. Eventually, quit it because he
Right.
had multiple channels. But for you, like you have a good job. You have you know awesome skill sets already. So like it's cool to hear your perspective, because why would someone with amazing skill sets, like you're a lawyer, want to create a YouTube automation channel, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think it comes back to that same principle of like learning, educating yourself, and using leverage, like leveraging more skill sets to
100%.
create more income. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you first. I'm pretty much done. Yeah.
No, it just on the comment on, like, yeah, on skill sets,
Yeah.
I pursue real estate on the side too. And you know, you could be the best sort of real estate investor there is. And it could be passive, it could be semi-passive, like it's never totally passive, but you could be semi-passive. Um, and maybe like if you're the best real estate investor, unless you start becoming a fund manager or something, you start really scaling up the ladder of the scaling ladder, like, which takes a lot of people skills. It takes a lot of specific knowledge to do that. But if you're just like one investor, let's say you're killing it, you're making like 25% cash on
Right.
cash returns year over year,
Which is
which
huge.
which is huge. Yeah, people are usually going to be content with 7% or something like that, right? Especially with how
Yeah.
crazy it's been recently. So, I was doing well. I was getting good returns, not 25%, but like 10%, something like that, 12%. Um, so those were returns of real estate. But then talking about leverage, talking about like scalability and just how crazy software could be. Um, I've had, if I continue this pace of like 2,000 profit per month up until the end of the year, my cash on cash return I think would be around 200% or 240 or 50%. You know,
Yeah. So
so
that's where it's different than real estate. Is it's very much a business. There is
yeah,
higher risk, right, than maybe physical piece of land and property.
right,
But the return, you do get rewarded for that if you can figure it out. So
100%, 100%.
um, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
in
on my biggest, one of my biggest channels, I think the highest month I ever did was like 22,000, and it only cost me about 1,200 a month to run that channel, right? So
yeah,
the cash
yeah,
on cash return there is huge, and it's like
exactly,
why you would take that bet every single time,
exactly, exactly.
even
That's
if it took
exactly
you
what
a
it is,
year
man.
to get there. you know
Exactly, exactly.
so
It's the Jeff Bezos sort of quote that Alex Hormozy starts it's one of his books with, which is he makes a baseball analogy. Like in baseball, every time you hit a home run, like it's going to be a different calculus, because in baseball, home run is max 4 runs, right?
mhm,
4 points. In business, there's no ceiling. Like a home run in business could be 1,000x, could be 1,000 runs, right? Or could be a million.
right.
And that's where real estate has its limits, because it's physical space. There's only a certain amount of people you can put in a house. There's only a certain amount of money that these people are willing to pay. But in business, there's no ceiling, and especially with something like YouTube automation, which you can eventually automate and sort of do high leverage activities in.
Yeah, and it's just like the opportunity itself too is YouTube has created the platform. They've created the opportunity. They're attracting advertisers to spend money, and then they're
Right.
sharing with people like us who create cool content,
Yep.
and have these channels. And I mean, that's what I love most about it. It's there. The money's there for the taking. Like in the stock market, if you're trading stocks, there's million trillions, trillions of dollars in the market liquidity.
Yeah.
You just have to learn how to go get your piece.
100%. 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. Yeah, it's amazing to hear the result. I didn't even know the update like for February. You didn't even let me, like, I didn't even know that. So that's pretty cool to hear. Um, I guess what are the plans for you as far as, do you plan on starting more channels or focusing on this one right now, just hyper focusing, getting this one super profitable before you kind of just even decide, or I guess what are your thoughts?
Um, Yeah, so one it's funny because I think we started the conversation on kind of like things you would do differently and stuff. And one thing I didn't mention, I hadn't mentioned to anyone in the group yet. I hadn't even mentioned to you yet. I actually did, because I didn't want people to think this was a necessary part of it. So I want to
Mhm.
inspire the group, that results are possible. Um, but I actually started doing voiceovers myself on the
Oh
channel.
wow,
Uh,
nice.
I had a theory that if
Yeah.
they would have an engaging, so I wanted to cut costs, and I wanted to have guaranteed engagement, because I have some oral skills with lawyering and stuff, and I wanted to make it as engaging as possible and see if someone who would sound like to have maybe some sort of like not foreign accent, but just more like a normal English accent,
Right.
American accent, and have it engaging, have it energetic, and just test that theory and see if it worked. And it did. And that's why I have like 4 minutes, 4 minutes and 10 seconds average view duration. But so the next step for me would actually be to find a voiceover actor who would be keeping sort of my average view duration similar. So that's the next step. And then when I do that, I'm going to do the plan that I've told you a few months ago, which was to just transfer my channel into Spanish and make a Spanish channel, a Spanish version of it, uh, basically leveraging all the videos I already have, and
Mhm.
just putting my voice on it and sending it over to a video editor. I mean, it does it for a few bucks for video, and I can have almost like 2 channels for the price of one, double the kind of potential for and double the iterations again, because who knows what this channel is gonna who this channel is gonna reach, the amount of people it's
Right.
gonna reach. So that's my idea, man. Like translating the channel first, and then after that, honestly, once I've done that, my goal, my bottom line is to make more than 10,000 a month off of these channels. Honestly, I kind of want to have. I don't know. I don't know if I want to aim for what you have, which is, like a crazy cash flow per month, but something that would be comparable to a lawyer's salary in cash flow channels.
Yeah, I mean, well, with the trajectory you're at, it's definitely possible. And, you're doing it in the least risk. Like I've never even explored that option. Like I thought about it as far as doing a channel, same type of channel in a different language.
Yeah.
But I think that's the lowest risk way of creating a second channel. Because
Right.
rather than it's just in the same niche, but a different voice actor, a different theme,
Right.
you're actually doing the same channel essentially, but just translated into,
Exactly.
yeah. So that's super smart. Like this is cutting edge stuff too. Like if anyone's watching, like if you're watching this still, like this is, what people pay thousands of dollars for just to learn,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's really, really cool. I like that idea, but yeah, no, keep pushing forward for sure. Um, so I guess to kind of cap it off, because I mean, you've given so much value here, like talking about, average view duration, click-through rates, just the trials and tribulations, kind of how to press through that. What would you say for someone who is just exploring, like maybe they're thinking about doing drop shipping or Amazon FBA or YouTube automation? They don't quite have a grasp on like what should I get started with.
Mhm.
I guess why would you say YouTube automation is worth it? And number two, what's one piece of advice you would say when first getting started out?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, um, in fact, my wife dealt a little bit. It wasn't really drop shipping. It was just sort of selling stuff. Being the middleman for some products. Some wholesaler putting it on Amazon. Selling it. So we have a little bit of experience there. We made some profit, but we just didn't want to put in that work.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I don't know a lot of these niches, sub niches and ways to make money online, right? But and I think all of them probably have their merit. I haven't really researched them, but I do want to say that in YouTube automation specifically, not to sound like a broken record, but there's just so much potential in the idea of content creation. Like the future, like we have already the Amazons, we have the refinement of those processes have already been done over the course of several years. Competition is older, it's more seasoned. And YouTube automation, it's not like it was yesterday, but it is more recent. And in a way, imagine what would your life be if you had a profitable channel now in 2022, kept growing it, as passively as a channel can be sort of managed, which could get quite passive, um, into 50,000, subscribers, or 100,000 subscribers, 5 or 6 years down the road. And you have the possibility of selling that business to a private equity firm or something along those lines. So you have tremendous cash flow. You have the possibility of good sale of an asset that is going to probably appreciate in price moving forward, because this is digital real estate, and people are just now, even though it's been in sort of people's minds for a couple of years, it's now becoming more prevalent that YouTube is a tremendous source of income, that people can sort of productize themselves, like create brands around YouTube channels, and you can get a portion of that even without the branding, even without putting your face out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say for a newcomer, and people who are assessing YouTube automation for sure.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, it's true. And I think the easier platforms have been like Instagram, where we've seen pages sell for, $90 million, like meme pages, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
YouTube, I feel like, is under tap because most people just, they don't want to figure it out. They don't want to be, it's a little bit harder. It's a little,
Yeah.
the algorithm's a little bit more intensive, but with the systems in place, it's just, I don't think it's too hard. I mean, I guess I'm saying that from, 6, 7 years of experience, but
Yeah.
uh, I love the platform. So awesome, Arturo. I appreciate you, sharing your experience, sharing, some of the recent updates. Congrats on the channel. And I'm
Thanks, man.
excited to have you on, and, maybe we'll check back in a few months and see how your, your other channel, the second one in a different language, is doing as well.
Totally, man. No, I appreciate that. It's been a great ride. It's been a personal kind of fulfillment for me to be able to tap into the power of the internet, the leverage of the internet, and just a great, hopefully a good success story for people, and hopefully people took some value out of this time for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, Arturo. And yeah, we'll definitely, we'll have to follow back up for sure.
All right, brother. See you later.